The Christmas gift she never expected. The crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the holiday party, their light dancing across champagne flutes and glittering decorations. Sarah Chen sat at the mahogany table, her hands trembling as she held the pen above the divorce papers. Around her, laughter and conversation filled the air. But to her it all sounded distant, like she was underwater. She was 42 years old, wearing a simple yellow blouse under a dark blazer. Her dark hair was pulled back neatly the way Marcus always preferred. Even now, even at this moment, she was still trying to please him. Across from her sat Marcus Holloway, 38, confident in his tailored black suit. His hand rested possessively on the shoulder of Victoria Sterling, a stunning blonde woman in an elegant cream gown. Victoria was 35, poised and perfect in every way Sarah had never been, or so Marcus had told her countless times. Behind them, the older generation stood watching. Marcus's parents, James and Dorothy Holloway, both in their late 60s, wore expressions of barely concealed satisfaction. Next to them, Victoria's parents beamed with approval. They had orchestrated this moment, chosen this setting, a Christmas party at the Holloway estate, surrounded by their wealthy friends and business associates. They wanted witnesses to Sarah's humiliation. "Just sign it, Sarah," Marcus said, his voice carrying that familiar tone of impatience. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. She had cried enough over the past 3 months since Marcus had asked for the divorce. She had begged him to reconsider, reminded him of their 15 years together, the dreams they had shared. But his mind was made up. Victoria was from his world. Old money, social connections, the right family name. Sarah was just the scholarship student he had met in college. The girl from nowhere who had foolishly believed love could bridge any gap. "You'll be fine," Dorothy Holloway said, her voice dripping with false kindness. "Marcus is being very generous with the settlement. $20,000 should help you get back on your feet." $20,000. After 15 years of marriage. After putting Marcus through business school while working 2 jobs. After giving up her own dreams of becoming a teacher to support his career. After decorating this very house, hosting these very people, smiling until her face hurt. $20,000. Sarah looked down at the papers. Her vision blurred. She could hear whispers around the room now, guests realizing what was happening. Some looked away uncomfortably. Others watched with undisguised curiosity. She thought about her mother, who had passed away when Sarah was just 18. Her mother had been a house cleaner, working herself to exhaustion to give Sarah a chance at a better life. She had never known her father. Her mother had always said he was gone, that it was just the 2 of them against the world. What would her mother think of her now? Signing away her marriage at a Christmas party, surrounded by people who had never truly accepted her. Sarah picked up the pen. Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold it steady. "That's it," Marcus said encouragingly, as if she were a child learning to write her name. She signed. First page, second page, third page. Each signature felt like giving away a piece of herself. When she finished, Victoria actually clapped her hands together softly. "Oh, good. Now we can all enjoy the rest of the evening." Sarah stood up slowly. She looked at Marcus one last time, searching his face for any hint of the young man who had once told her she was his everything. But that man was gone, if he had ever really existed at all. She walked toward the door, her head held as high as she could manage. The crowd parted for her, and in their faces she saw pity, contempt, relief that it wasn't them. She was almost at the entrance when the front doors burst open. A woman in her late 60s strode in, followed by 3 men in expensive suits carrying briefcases. The woman had silver hair swept up elegantly, and she wore a dark red dress that spoke of wealth and power. Her eyes swept the room with authority. "Stop," the woman commanded. Her voice cut through the party chatter like a knife through butter. "Stop right now." Everyone froze. Marcus turned, his face confused. "Who are you?" "This is a private party." The woman ignored him. Her eyes locked on Sarah, and something in her expression softened. "Sarah Chen?" Sarah nodded, too stunned to speak. The woman walked forward, and as she got closer, Sarah could see tears forming in her eyes. My God, you look just like your mother. Just like my daughter. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Sarah felt dizzy. I'm sorry, I don't understand. One of the men stepped forward, opening his briefcase. Miss Chen, my name is Robert Patterson. I'm an attorney with Hartley and Associates. This is Mrs. Eleanor Hartley. For the past 25 years, she has been searching for you. Eleanor reached out and took Sarah's hands. Her grip was warm, firm, real. Your mother was my daughter, Sarah, my beautiful Catherine. 25 years ago, we had a terrible fight. She was 19, in love with someone I didn't approve of. I said awful things. Things I've regretted every day since. She left, and I was too proud to go after her. Too stubborn to apologize. Sarah's knees nearly gave out. My mother never spoke about her family. She said there was no one. Because I drove her away, Eleanor said, tears now streaming down her face. I was a fool. A proud, stupid fool. By the time I realized my mistake and started looking for her, she had changed her name, moved away. I've had investigators searching ever since. And then 3 months ago, one of them finally found a connection. But when they went to your last known address, the neighbors said you had moved after a separation. It's taken us until now to locate you here. Robert Patterson stepped forward again. Miss Chen, your mother, Catherine. Hartley was the only child of Eleanor and the late Thomas Hartley. Thomas Hartley founded Hartley Industries, which is now one of the largest manufacturing companies in the country. Your mother was the sole heir. When she disappeared, Mrs. Hartley never gave up hope of finding her. Or you. Sarah couldn't breathe. My mother died when I was 18. She never told me any of this. She probably wanted to protect you, Eleanor said gently. From the mistakes I made. From the pain I caused her. Oh, my dear girl. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for her. That I wasn't there for you. Marcus had pushed his way through the crowd now. Wait, what exactly are you saying? Robert Patterson turned to him with barely concealed disdain. I'm saying that Miss Sarah Chen is the sole surviving heir to the Hartley fortune. Upon confirmation of identity through DNA testing, which we can conduct immediately if Miss Chen agrees, she will inherit approximately $3.7 billion, along with controlling interest in Hartley Industries and all associated properties and assets. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Sarah stared at Eleanor. 3.7 billion? Give or take, Eleanor said with a small smile. Your grandfather was very good at business, and I've spent the last 25 years making sure it grew, hoping that one day I could give it all to you. Its rightful owner. Victoria's face had gone white. Marcus looked like he might be sick. His parents stood frozen, their expressions of satisfaction replaced by horror. Eleanor noticed them for the first time. Her eyes narrowed as she took in the scene. The divorce papers on the table. Sarah's tear-stained face. What exactly is going on here? Sarah found her voice. It was stronger now, steadier. I just signed divorce papers. My husband wanted to marry someone else. Someone from the right kind of family. Eleanor's expression turned to ice as she looked at Marcus. The right kind of family? And what kind would that be? Marcus stammered. I didn't know. Obviously, if I had known. If you had known she was wealthy, you would have treated her differently? Eleanor finished for him. You would have valued her more? Loved her more? She turned to Sarah. Darling, did you sign these papers willingly? Sarah nodded. Yes, he wanted his freedom. I signed them. Robert Patterson picked up the papers from the table, scanning them quickly. His expression grew cold. $20,000. After 15 years of marriage, that's what he offered you. It's what I deserve, Sarah said quietly, and then stopped herself. That was Marcus's voice in her head. His parents' voices. All those years of being told she should be grateful. That she wasn't good enough. That she was lucky to have what she had. No, Eleanor said firmly. That's not what you deserve. You deserve to be cherished, respected, loved for who you are, not what you have. She turned back to Marcus. These papers are signed, and if my granddaughter wishes, they'll stand. But you should know that the settlement is grossly inadequate. In this state, with a 15-year marriage, she would be entitled to much, much more. Especially now. Marcus's face went from pale to red. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait, Eleanor said, her voice sharp as glass. You just humiliated this woman at a Christmas party, in front of all your friends and family. You paraded your mistress in front of her. You offered her an insult of a settlement. And why? Because you thought she was nobody. Because you thought she had no one. She moved closer to Marcus, and despite being a foot shorter, she somehow seemed to tower over him. Well, she's not nobody. She's my granddaughter. She's the heir to Hartley Industries. And now everyone in this room knows exactly what kind of man you are. Victoria had backed away, her hand falling from Marcus's shoulder. Even she could see which way the wind was blowing now. Dorothy Holloway tried to salvage the situation. Mrs. Hartley, surely we can discuss this like civilized people. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Eleanor said, was Sarah's belief that your family had any class or character. She knows better now. She turned back to Sarah, her expression softening again. My dear, you don't have to decide anything tonight. But please come with me. Let me tell you about your mother. Let me tell you about your grandfather. Let me try, if you'll allow it, to be the grandmother I should have been all along. Sarah looked at the papers on the table, then at Marcus, at Victoria, at the Holloways, then at this woman who claimed to be her grandmother, whose eyes held such hope and sorrow. She thought about her mother, working herself to exhaustion, cleaning houses, doing laundry, never complaining, always saying that as long as they had each other, they had everything they needed. Her mother had given up billions to escape a fight with her own mother, had chosen poverty and hard work over wealth and comfort. Why? Because her mother, Eleanor, hadn't approved of the man she loved. Sarah's father, and now Sarah stood here, having given up everything for a man who valued her so little. He had thrown her away at a Christmas party, but there was a difference. Her mother had loved Sarah's father. She had chosen love over money, and Sarah had to believe that choice had brought her mother happiness, at least for a while. Sarah hadn't chosen Marcus over wealth. She had simply loved him, worked for him, supported him, and he had never loved her back, not really. He had loved what she did for him, how she made his life easier. But her, the real her, he had never seen her at all. I'd like that, Sarah said to Eleanor. I'd like to hear about my mother, about my family. Eleanor's face broke into a radiant smile. She opened her arms and Sarah stepped into them. The hug felt like coming home to a place she'd never been, like being welcomed by someone who had been waiting for her all along. Over Eleanor's shoulder, Sarah could see the faces in the crowd: shock, envy, disbelief. Marcus looked devastated, already doing calculations in his head, probably figuring out what he had just lost. But Sarah felt something unexpected blooming in her chest. Not revenge, not satisfaction at seeing Marcus squirm. Freedom. For 15 years, she had made herself smaller to fit into Marcus's world. She had quieted her voice, dimmed her light, apologized for taking up space. She had believed them when they said she wasn't good enough. But her mother had been Catherine Hartley. Her grandfather had built an empire. Her grandmother had never stopped searching for her. She came from strength, from determination, from love that transcended pride and mistakes. There's a car outside, Eleanor said gently. We can go now if you'd like. Or we can stay. It's entirely up to you. Sarah pulled back and looked at her grandmother. Really looked at her. She saw her mother's eyes, her mother's stubborn chin, her own reflection in an older face. Let's go, Sarah said. But I need to say something first. She turned to face Marcus. He opened his mouth, probably to apologize or to try to take it back. But she held up her hand. I hope you'll be very happy, she said. And she meant it. I hope Victoria gives you everything you're looking for. I hope your life is exactly what you wanted it to be. She looked at the Holloways. Thank you for the lessons. You taught me what I don't want to become. Then she turned to the room at large, to all these people who had witnessed her humiliation, And thank you all for being here tonight. I'll never forget this Christmas party, never. She took Eleanor's arm and together they walked toward the door. Robert Patterson and his associates followed, forming a protective wall behind them. As they stepped out into the cold December night, Sarah took a deep breath. The air smelled like snow and pine and possibility. Are you all right? Eleanor asked. Sarah thought about it. Was she all right? Her marriage was over. Her life was completely upended. Everything she thought she knew had changed in a matter of minutes. I don't know, she said honestly. But I think I will be. Eleanor squeezed her arm. That's all any of us can hope for, dear. To be all right eventually. They reached the car, a sleek black vehicle that probably cost more than Sarah had earned in the last 5 years. Eleanor paused before getting in. Sarah, I want you to know something. The money doesn't matter. Not really. What matters is that I found you, that I have a chance to know you. Everything else is just details. Sarah felt tears coming again, but this time they weren't tears of humiliation or grief. They were something else entirely. I wish my mother could have known you felt that way, she said. So do I, Eleanor replied. Every single day. But I can't change the past. All I can do is try to do better now. Try to be the person I should have been then. She took Sarah's hands again. I don't expect you to call me grandmother right away. I don't expect you to forgive me for not being there when you needed me. All I ask is a chance to know you, to be part of your life if you'll have me. Sarah looked at this woman who was a stranger and yet somehow familiar. She thought about what her mother would want. Her mother, who had worked so hard, sacrificed so much, but who had always taught Sarah to believe in second chances. I think my mother would want us to try, Sarah said. Eleanor smiled through her tears. Then that's what we'll do. We'll try, and this time I promise I'll get it right. As the car pulled away from the Holloway estate, Sarah looked back one last time. Through the window, she could see the party continuing. People already gossiping, Marcus standing alone by the Christmas tree, Victoria nowhere to be seen. She turned forward toward whatever came next. Toward a grandmother she'd never known. Toward a fortune she'd never expected. Toward a life she couldn't yet imagine. But most importantly, toward herself, the real Sarah. Not the girl who cleaned houses, not the wife who made herself small, but someone in between, someone who carried both her mother's strength and her grandmother's determination, someone who deserved more than she'd been settling for. Eleanor reached over and took her hand. Merry Christmas, Sarah. Sarah squeezed back. Merry Christmas, Grandma. And outside, the first snow of the season began to fall, covering everything in white, making the world look new and clean and full of promise, the way every ending should be, the way every beginning could be. If you believed in second chances, if you believed in yourself, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories of hope, resilience, and unexpected blessings. Leave a comment below, telling us about a time when something you thought was an ending turned out to be a new beginning. Your story might inspire someone who needs to hear it today.